Hey guys, welcome back to the garage and welcome back to an exciting part 5 of the bedside build. Hopefully this is going to be just part, totally in 6 part, totally done in 6 parts. What we're going to try and do today is mount the rails and mount the bearings, so that would essentially get this operating, sliding in and out of the bed. It is a lot to do. I'm not going to be filming everything because I'm going to have to drill a total of 40 holes for 40 bearings, get them all mounted, get the rails mounted perfectly level, make sure there's a lot to do. There's a lot of precision that has to be, sort of followed. So you'll probably see as much as I think you can tolerate in terms of without getting bored. And then hopefully I'll get this done probably tomorrow evening and wrap up part 5. So that's what we're going to be doing. Not a whole lot to it. I'm just going to figure out exactly where I have to drill vertically, and then also where I'm going to be mounting the rails. I don't want them too high up on the sides. If they are, then it's going to sink. If it's too low, then it just won't quite work out very well. So I got to figure out where exactly I'm going to mount it, and then go from there, along with mounting the rails. Okay, I've got it flipped around here, sort of showing you what I was talking about a second ago. If I mount these rails too low, I just have a feeling it's not going to work super well. I think it will. I mean, a lot of drawer slides, they even have undermount. So I think it's fine if I mount them down here. I just won't have the clearance to, because up in these boxes I've got bolts sticking out for the eye hook. So there's probably going to be somewhere right around here. Is where they're going to be mounted. If I go up too high and I put a bunch of weight in the bed drawer here, in the sliding drawer, then I'm worried that it's going to put stress on these sides and cause them to buckle inwards. So I'm going to go ahead and start measuring, seeing where I can mount these rails, because again I have to lift this up a couple of inches. And then mount it flush so that this is here. So if I lift it up a couple inches, I got to put some shims in here, play around with it, figure out where exactly I want to mount these things, and then go from there. Alright guys, I've just done a load of measuring, and if you can tell, the drawer is now level with the boxes. Here. This piece and this piece are, not perfectly level, but fairly level. As level as I could get it using, well, for instance, this pipe wrench is a supporting shim, and this spare block of wood I have laying around the garage as another shim. So, got that sort of trussed out in terms of the height I need here. As it turns out, this will be, the bottom of this rail will be 1 3/8 inches, there, 1 3/8 inches from the edge here. For me, it's probably, if you're following along at home, you're building something similar, it will obviously be bed dependent. So if you have a 2013 Silverado with spray-in bed liner, you'll probably be very similar. What I think I'm going to do, though, because the amount of space here to here is 1 3/8, the amount of space from the bottom of this guy here all the way up to the bottom edge of the rail is 3 5/8, which means this little bearing mock-up I've got, this is what's going to be supporting. Let me get this to focus here. This guy is what's going to be supporting 40 of these guys. I'm going to have 10 below the rail on the left side, 10 below the rail on the right side, and then 10 above the rail on the left and then the right. So I've got 10 to 20 on each side, 10 bottom, 10 top. Essentially, this guy will go in right about here. I'm going to use a nut as a spacer. Here, get that angle right. So I'm going to use a nut as a spacer. This rail will be bolted to the drawer, And there's going to be 10 of these guys on top and 10 of these guys on bottom. And we're going to go ahead and, well, the edge of this bearing right here, it's very, very crucial that the edge of the bearing here comes in. The top, the highest point of this bearing here has to be 3 5/16 up from the bottom. That's going to be kind of difficult to get, so I think I'm going to do is drill and mount the bearings first, and then come back in, do another fitment, sort of mock up the drawer, get it to where it needs to be. Lay this on here on top of the actual bearings, and then just kind of draw the line, because that way it'll guarantee, not really guarantee, but it'll be much more likely that I'll have a finished product where this is flush with this. So I think what I'm going to do is basically do this first, because I mean, this railing can, you know, move up and down a little bit depending on where this comes in vertically on this mount. So if I mount the railing first and then I do this guy, then I do the bearings, this is kind of point of no return. Once this is mounted, that's going to be where the drawer is height wise. So if I do this first and then I come in with the bearings, I'm very likely to have this be up or down just a smidge. So if I do the bearings first, get them all sort of in line all the way down, and then drill them, and then just lay the aluminum rail on top of the bearings, then I know that if I do that with this on the shims, we're going to be good to go. So I think that's what we're going to do. I'm going to take this out, take the drawer out now, measure and draw sort of the lines, the chalk lines that I need for the side boxes. They're both, fortunately, I did a decent job building these up, so they're both exactly 3 5/16. I'm not sure if I said 5/8 earlier. I apologize if I did. It's 3 5/16. 3 5/16, both of them. So that was nice. All the way down. We're going to go all the way down 3 5/16. I don't want to have this rolling out not level. I thought about it. I could have done it that way. I still can. Essentially, I could have it roll up and down, but then I'd have a problem with this end being not flush with that. So we're going to have it roll out flat, so it's going to be 3 5/16 the whole way. The other thing is, if you're doing this at home and you want to make sure it's all level, don't do this. I don't know if your truck's, mine's lifted, so the lifted and level, so it doesn't have a rake anymore. But remember where you're parked. You know, you may or may not be parked on level ground. I know I am not. The front of my truck is definitely nose down, so don't you know, build this to be level, because your truck is probably not level. So remember that. You know, my truck is parked down in the apron there, so the tailgate is definitely higher up at the moment. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and back this drawer out and then start marking up these guys to be 3 5/16 for the bearings, and then go over to our sick new drill press and get going with that and see how that works. So I'll be back with you guys once I have the drawer out, the boxes marked up, and the drill press starting up. Alright guys, back here with you again. I have the drawer out of the bed, the left hand side of the bed box here pulled out, and we've got the bearings laid out on it and traced. Went ahead and drew the line at 3 5/16 here all the way down. Laid these bearings out extremely carefully, and then traced them all. So what we're going to be doing is clamping the drill press down, clamping this to the drill press, and then very carefully drilling out the center holes for these bearings, and then testing everything out. If you look really closely here, get sort of in line, you can kind of tell all of these bearings are perfectly in line with that line. Definitely can't stress enough to take your time here. I took 30 minutes doing all of this. This is incredibly crucial. Essentially, the spacing worked out to, I think I pulled it 1.5 inches off of this edge simply because of this piece behind here. I needed to leave room for the bolt to come down. Otherwise, it's every 9 inches here, all the way to about here. and then I think 9 inches, and then every 4 inches here. Just because, you know, when the drawer's pulled out, there's going to be more weight on these guys. And then similarly, I'm going to do, for the top bearings back here, I decided to do like every 15 inches up here, just because there's not really any weight on these guys ever. Really, this bearing is never going to see any use. They'll start to be important maybe around here, sort of past that middle point. And then I'm going to put, I think 1, 2, 3, 4, and then like a fifth. So I'll do 1, 2, 3, 4, and then maybe a fifth one here, somewhere in there, to really support all of the weight of the drawer when it's pulled out. But first things first, and that is to take these bearings off. Take all of these guys off here now that we've confirmed they're all in line. Just pull them off, put them away, and then actually get these holes drilled. What I'll be doing is using this drill press. I bought this thing at Home Depot for like $50 plus shipping, delivered straight to my house. So miracle of the modern age, even during a pandemic, you can get a drill press for $50. I'm gonna go ahead and clamp this down because I haven't mounted this to the workbench yet. This is just kind of hanging out. So I gotta clamp that down, but it works really well. Just seeing it run here, very quiet. Operates nicely. So if you're in the market for a cheap drill press, I'd recommend it. It seems to be like something that will do the job. It has 8 different speeds. I haven't figured out how to play with that yet, but you know, it's an 8-inch drill press, mounts to your workbench, and very, very cheap. So I'm going to be using a 1/4-inch bit in here because these are 1/4-inch holes. So we're going to go ahead and set you guys up on the tripod and speed things up. Alright, we've got our holes drilled. I'm sure some of you probably saw in the hyperlapse there that I didn't use the drill press for the whole thing. That's because some of these holes had, you know, the hook on the other side of this thing under here was in the way of the drill press plate. So I just decided to get the hand drill out and go for it. See how that goes for me here in a minute. Hopefully that didn't screw things up. We've got all the holes drilled all the way down. So I'm going to go ahead and put the we'll put the bearings in now, I guess, and then put this thing back in the truck and see how the railing sort of sits. Hopefully it sits level, and then we'll be good. Okay, I've gotten 2 of the 11 bottom bearings done. I think I'm going to do the rest off camera just because I don't have that much memory card space here. So what I'm going to do, if you see these 2, I'll hold it up here. They're pretty well in line. So I'm going to do the others. Once they're done, I'll put this back in the truck and just get an idea as to how the rail will slide up and down this thing. And I'll meet you back for that one. Alright guys, back up in the bed again. I've got this left box just placed in here and the bottom bearings in place. You can see them here. With the exception of this one and this one on the very end. This one was a little too low and this one was a little too high here. So this one was being skipped over. This one was, as this rail was rolling along, this one was just kind of lifting this up a little bit. So what I did was I went back in with the drill and moved. I just kind of drilled a little bit extra sort of down below. Like I put the drill in the original hole and it's kind of pushed. And same with this one, got that pretty much fixed. Tightened down. So now this rail will slide up and down all the way pretty smooth, all the way to there. Now if you're wondering why it's a short rail, I've got another 4-foot rail behind all my materials against that wall. Both of these are gonna, well, the shorter one's gonna be cut to size. The 4-foot one's gonna be put on as is. They're gonna be put on so to essentially mimic if it was like a one singular long rail. So that's going to be going on the drawer of the slide here, probably later. But tomorrow I'm going to be wrapping up here. I got a late start today. Went on a hike this morning. So tomorrow I hope to get started early, around 9 o'clock, and get the top ones knocked out all the way down, and then do the same for this side here. And then I'll be able to really see how this will operate with the sort of the rail sandwich between the two. And then also, if I'm really productive and everything's going super well, I'll be able to attach the rail to the drawer here and maybe actually get a test going, which would be super exciting. I could see it pull in and out, and that would be absolutely amazing. So until tomorrow morning, right now this is middle of part 5, I believe, part 5. So very exciting, part 5, hopefully of 6 total. And I'll be here tomorrow morning with part 5 continued. All right, guys, back again, day 2 of part 5, Sunday morning for me. Going to be putting the bearings on the top side here for the rail on the left box, kind of leaving off where we stopped yesterday. I think what I'm going to do for the rest of these bearings on this box and the next ones, not use the drill press. I'll be using the drill press for obviously puncturing holes in the aluminum rail as I need to later on. But for now, because of the problem with these guys interfering with this plate here when I put the part on top, and then also with these hooks underneath interfering, I didn't want to take the hooks out. What I'm going to be doing, instead of tracing around all the bearings, I think I'm just going to find a way to clamp these bearings in place, and then just use a hand drill. Get somewhat of a pilot bit, 7/32. The hole is this hole here is a 1/4 inch, so I'm just going to run this through like so, and then come back with a 8/32 for a full 1/4 inch bit, and widen it out once I've got the bearing out of the way. But that way it'll sort of ensure that this isn't too far away, or it's too close, which would be the biggest problem where the rail won't fit through. So this way it'll ensure that the rail is going to have enough space all the way down. What I'm going to be doing is just kind of clamping this in place somehow. But anyway, what I wanted to do was let you know kind of the distance I have for the spacing of these. I think the bottom ones were every 10 inches, and I did that all the way down until I got to about here. This one was, 49 to 46 to 50. So sorry, every 9 inches. The spacing is every 9 inches all the way down to here. This was the last of the 9-inch ones. We're at 64. And then it was every, 4.5, I think, for that one. And then 68.5. And then another 4 inches. And then another 4 inches. It doesn't have to be exact. I mean, I just kind of went with the length of the bed. I've got like a 4 inch, a 4 inch, a 4 inch, and then, 4.5 here. So it's 4 inches there, 4 inches there, 4.5 here, and then it spreads out to 9 all the way down. I'm going to be doing the same up top. I've got, first of all, I got 11 bearings on the bottom just because, they're going to take more load in general. And I'm going to be doing 9 bearings on top. The top bearings I've got in the exact same spacing. And then I'm going to have an extra one here, just in case I want to, say, pull the drawer out to about here. This will keep it from tipping up. And then I'm going to be doing every, 45 to, I think, 50s, 59. Every 14 inches it was all the way down. So Here we got 3 inches to 70, yeah, so every 14 inches all the way down up top. So I'm going to be clamping these in place, drilling these holes, putting the bearings on, and then I'll come back and meet you guys when I kind of do a run through of how this aluminum tubing will roll through this thing with the top and bottom bearings on. Okay guys, I have gotten all the bearings for the bottom and top done, which is exciting for me. What I had to do was go back and drill it with a 9/32 drill bit, just a hair bigger than a 1/4 inch. And then when I was putting them in here to shim it so it wouldn't get too tight, because if it's too tight it wasn't rolling properly, I shimmed it with 2 layers of masking tape. So now that I'm done with this, I'm going to go ahead and take the masking tape off and see if I can do this one-handed. Run it through. It should run nice and smooth and not have any kind of resistance, so to speak. So let's slide this in here. Oh, that's perfect. I don't know if you can hear that. It just rolls really well through there. I am very pleased with that. Let's continue down the line here. Oh, amazing. Just one sort of gentle push of the finger. I did notice here it is hitting something on the way out. So what's happening here is this lip is hitting this washer, but that won't be an issue because there won't be a lip there. It's going to be one continuous piece and it won't ride up into that washer, so that should be fine. If not, I'll just come in and file the washer down. But this just runs perfectly. So I got to go ahead and get a second one done. And when I do, I will meet you back here in the truck bed with the boxes complete, and we'll start working on the rail, mounting the rail to the drawer here. Alright guys, it has been another couple of hours. I now have this right box done. The bearings are attached, top and bottom. So the next step will be to attach this rail to this drawer. And the first thing we need to do is cut it to size because it is 7 feet long and we need it to be 76 and 14/16 inches, or 76 and 7/8. So the reason, well, first of all, we're going to be cutting this flush with the front, but the reason I have it pulled back here, it's going to be 3/4 of an inch back, something like that. Is that I plan on screwing in like a sort of one of those white pencil erasers. Just screw one in here. I can replace it every now and then as I need to. But it's going to be a soft rubber. The idea is that the drawer is maybe an 1/8 or so. I don't know if you can see that here. The drawer is a little bit shorter, so the idea is that it will hit, the drawer will hit the rubber here, this rail and attached to the drawer will hit the rubber here and stop the drawer before it smacks into the cab of my truck here, or the back of the bed rather, and hitting the rubber will be like a soft close type of deal. So depending on where I want it to close, I can just scoot the rubber down for that way. So what we're gonna do is set up the saw, chop saws in there, set it up over there, go out, cut these to length, and then set about, I'll probably put this all up in the truck again and see exactly how high this needs to be mounted. I believe it's 1 3/8. And then go ahead and get to doing that, and soon it will be operational. That is the goal for today. Okay, I went ahead and got the height for the rails marked up on the drawer. Gonna go ahead now, move over to this and drill the holes. First, I'm gonna use a 5/8 inch Christmas tree bit to get the hole here on this outside. That will allow the socket wrench head as well as the bolt head to go through this. On the other side, I'm just going to be drilling a smaller 1/4 inch hole. I'll go ahead and show you that once I've drilled all these holes, show you what I mean. So I'll get started. Yeah, it was just a close-up of the drill press. Not sure if you have ever seen one, or have one. If you don't, and this is your first time cutting aluminum, that's kind of how it works. Just a whole bunch of WD-40, and keeps your drill bits from getting dull too fast, keeps the sound down, and you get perfect holes every time. So I'm going to go ahead and do the rest of these off camera, and then I'll meet you back up once I got both of these done and attached, and we'll take a look and see how it operates. Okay, I got the first of 8 holes drilled per side. Here's the bigger hole. This one is 5/8 on the front side. This other one is a little bit bigger than a 1/4. Essentially, the idea is that you'll drop the bolt. Drop the bolt in through the bigger hole here. It'll come out through the smaller hole, where it will feed through the plywood and be secured on the other side. This bigger hole is going to be so that you can use the socket wrench to secure it. So I'm going to go ahead and do 8 more just like this. And once I've got 8 of these done, I'm going to go ahead and drill into the wood and, go ahead and drill, into the, come on, focus, there. I'm going to go ahead and drill into the drawer here on this guy. And then we'll get these mounted, both sides, and hopefully everything will work just fine. We'll see. All right, guys, one really long day later. It is like 7 o'clock right now at night. Been working about, maybe 10 hours on this. It works and it's done. I couldn't be happier. I've never done something this big, and it works flawlessly. I think what I need to do, there's a little bit of extra space between the rails and the boxes. I need to take out some of that play in the drawer, but that can be fixed. I think what I'm going to do is like some round head screws, just screw those into the boxes, and that'll keep it sliding perfectly straight. But this thing will roll really, really easy. I'm just going to demonstrate that now. One finger, the whole thing comes out just like that. Right now I don't have any stops in here. So ideally, I think I want it to stop coming out maybe right about here. That's where I'm going to make a stop. But it rolls out just like I want it to. It's flush here. I'm going to be putting a top covered sort of door on these guys. I'm going to be, between now and the next part, I'm going to be showing you exactly here in a minute the gap that I want to fill to keep it from doing this motion here. We can take care of that pretty quickly with some sort of slick spacers that I'm going to be using. In this instance, I'll be using round head screws. So just closing it back up, I'm going to be adding a sort of an eraser type material at the end of the track so it won't slam into the back of the bed, and like a little sort of handle here as well. Then also I'm going to, I haven't quite planned how I want to do this yet, but I want to add a locking mechanism so when I don't want this to slide out, it won't just slide back and forth. So let me go ahead and put this back, and I'll show you that gap. Okay, come in here, I'll get the flash on for you. So the gap is in between this rail and this box. It's maybe half a centimeter. So I'm thinking I'll find some flathead screws there that I can put in on this side. And similarly, the gap on this side all the way down. And I don't know if the gap is that size all the way down. It's that size here. If it's smaller all the way down, like in the wheel well area, where I suspect it is smaller, I'll have to use something smaller than a round head screw. But I'll use something slippery to take up that gap, but right now it rolls really, really well, and I couldn't be more pleased with this effort. So that will wrap up part 5. If you enjoyed this, if you want to see more stuff like this, go ahead and subscribe to the channel, give this video a like, post your questions in the comments below. Next part will be part 6. That probably won't be for another 2 or 3 weeks. I just have to order the Raptor liner, do a few tweaks to this to make it real perfect, and then I'll start shooting it probably in 2 or 3 weeks. So subscribe for that. Turn notifications on when you want to see the if you want to be reminded of when it comes out live. But that wraps up part 5. Stay tuned for part 6.